This podcast may contain spoilers from across the entire Xena series, so please proceed with caution, because honestly, who knows what the hell's going to come out of my mouth. On that, I probably will say the occasional naughty word, but if you're cool with that, let's battle on. Hello, welcome back to Xena Warrior Commentary. It's Phil, Possible Prince X, here to celebrate that we have gotten to the end of Season 2. Unbelievable. I think I've said the last few weeks, just kind of how much it flew by. I can't believe we're there, which means we're getting into Season 3, and that is some good shiz. So this is just my little wrap up. I did the same for Season 1, and I thought, well, then I must do the same for Season 2. From memory, Season 1, I also did all the renames because I had just come up with that little feature. So this might be a little bit shorter because I don't need to do all of those because I did them at the end of each episode. But basically, today we'll be going through all the lists, the most hated, the top episodes, the bottom episodes, the crushes, all of these fun things. So I'm just going to dive on in and get started by revealing the top 10 most hated characters of Season 2, starting at number 10. Now, I actually didn't have anyone in this place. There was only 9 people that I hated in Season 2 in comparison to 11 that I hated in Season 1. And I really wanted a top 10. So I thought, you know what? Just because even though he wasn't that bad, just because he's him and we don't need him, number 10 is Ulysses. I thought people would appreciate that he needs to be on there, even though, you know, I think the issues were more around some of the writing of that episode. The man was fine. He just didn't have chemistry with Lucy. That's, it's a shame. You don't always know, obviously. I suppose when people audition, they don't always necessarily get to work or audition with the lead, with Lucy. So sometimes it's a bit of a stab in the dark. And a lot of the times on Xena, they get lucky with incredible chemistry. This was just not one of those times. So sorry, Ulysses, but you're on the most hated list. You just gotta own it. All right. Coming in at number 9, and it's related. I feel bad putting this person on the list because I do love them. But I had to for all of the heterosexuality that we had to endure, and that is RJ Stewart. I'm sorry, RJ. I don't think you're listening, but if you are, I still love you. But you did write Ulysses and all of those heterosexual scenes. So it's just what happens. You had to be reprimanded for that. Coming in at number 8 is the girl that I call Blondie from For Him the Bell Tolls. Now, she's the one who kind of was like pretending to be friends with the princess. Was it Ileandra? But then also totally dobbing on her for not even like she wasn't really ever doing anything with Joxa. She was just like going straight to the king and dobbing her in. It was a whole thing, and I was not a fan. And then she acted all like in love with Joxa too, but then it grossed out by him. Like, pick a side, Blondie. So I'm not a huge fan of hers. Coming in at number 7 is, and I feel bad for it, but at the same time, these men, they need to do better. And that is Hauer from A Day in the Life. Because he was just problematic. Like, treat Minya better. Don't be so sleazy on Xena. Like, I know we're meant to like you as a character, but I found you a bit gross. And speaking of creepy, we have coming in at number 6 is Ultrek from The Lost Mariner. I think he was maybe the most recent person on the list. I just found, he was meant to be creepy. So he was creepy, and there really is no questioning of that. He was creepy. He probably could be higher than some of these other people just in general, given, his creepy status. But there wasn't a lot of him. So he didn't sort of infuriate me in the same way as some of the next ones, which brings us to the top 5. At number 5, we have King Silvus in A Solstice Carol. He did sort of redeem himself at the end, but he was that style of grumpy old man who just kind of shakes and goes, and that annoys me when people just go straight to angry. And, he had his reasons, I suppose, but he took it out on other people. That I don't like so much, which is why King Silvus ends up number 5 on our hated list. Number 4, Judge Arbus He was in the execution. He was meant to be the good guy, and I'm all about justice, because he always said justice. And that annoyed me a lot too. That's probably why he's so high on the list. Sometimes it's got nothing to do with who they are as people and just the fact that they annoy me. So he said justice a lot, and actually turned out to be a bit of a dick. So not so fond of old Arby. Coming in at number 3, look, I feel bad for this one, but he annoyed me a lot, and that is Centocles from A Solstice Carol before he became Santa. So when he was Santa, we loved him at the end. But he kept being a sork and putting the poor donkey in danger, abandoning Gabrielle. Like, come on, Centocles, grow up. You're a grown man. I do feel for him. He obviously had a lot of fears going on, but face your fear. That's what Xena's there for. That's what Gabrielle's there for. They're there to help you. Listen to them. You know, the greater good, all that. He had an arc, so we do sort of forgive, but we don't forget. Speaking of never forgetting, coming in at number 2, I don't believe this person has a name. I have just called her Little Girl. It is the little girl from Destiny, who I'm sure was innocent and well-meaning and hiding in the bushes, but if it weren't for her, had she ran off with Gabrielle, we wouldn't have had a tree to the damn face. You know? Was it the face? No. Yeah, it was. It was hit her on the back of the head. The log hit her on the back of the head, and she hit her face on the tree. And, you know, I mean, we got some great episodes out of it. So, you know, I can't be completely mad the whole time. But come on, little girl. Like, you were little, but you weren't that little, you know? Maybe she was. I don't know. Like, in my head, she was like 12. But come on. I think people know that the screenshot of the little girl infuriates all Xena fans. That brings us to the number 1 most hated. And look, they're related. And that number 1 most hated is the tree. Specifically the log part, you know. The other tree that, you know, she smacked her head on, that was just there. That was just minding its own business. But the log, I mean, nightmares. I used to see it as a little kid and be like, no! And I have to tell you, I went for a hike recently and, you know, I was reminded at just how large some trees can be. And yeah, there were a few that I thought, no. Like, I don't even know if I could have had a tree slowly fallen. I don't know if I could have run out of the way. They were that mighty. But thankfully they weren't attached to a rope and hurtling towards me. So, I mean, I feel that it's only fair that the tree is the number 1 most hated for season 2. Which means we can now combine the most hated list from season 1 and 2. And I have it here. And I've got to tell you, I seem to really hate people in season 1 a lot more than people in season 2. So sitting at number 10 in the combined most hated, which when we get to the end of the series, it'll be like a really solid top 10 of crap people that we don't like. I wonder who's going to make it on there. Probably some peanuts. I don't know. Coming in at number 10, Little Girl from Destiny. At number 9, The Tree. So only 2 spots from season 2. The rest is season 1. And that pretty much remains as it did in the season 1 breakdown, which is Centaries and His Stupid Fingers at number 8. Diomedes from the Black Wolf at number 7. The Girl with the Plaits in The Reckoning at number 6. The Girl Who Threw the Stone at Xena at number 5. Nemos from Cradle of Hope at number 4. I don't remember hating him this much, but I must have really hated him. Number 3 is Atreus in Ties That Bind. Number 2 is Galen. Oh God, is there a doctor in the house? And at number 1, still hands down, Piranus from The Reckoning. That annoying village man. Ugh, infuriating. Can't deal. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the most hated list evolves as we get into the next few seasons. And there might be some surprises, maybe. There might be people I'm not thinking of. There are definitely people I know will make it. But there's a few people I'm like, who knows? It could change. We're only 2 seasons in. And I know the next couple of seasons have some big episodes. But let's be a little bit more positive at this point. We've done some hating. Let's do some loving. And the loving is to look at the episodes, my top 3 episodes of the season. And this was a tough one because I go by the score I give. And there were quite a few ties. So there was no way to have just like a simple top 3. So I've had to, it's more like a top 5 or 6 or something. So coming in at number 3 with a tie of 8.5 are the episodes Orphan of War and Here She Comes, Miss Amphipolis. I'm a little surprised by this because there were other episodes I thought, such as Return of Callisto, I thought that would rate higher than these, but these ones held up. On rewatch, I really got into them. So they were sitting at 8.5, so they are third. Coming in at number 2, we have a 3-way tie of Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Intimate Stranger, and Destiny, all sitting at 9, very strong, but not quite as strong as my 2 favorite episodes, which both got a 10, and it makes sense because they go together, and that is The Quest and A Necessary Evil. I think had you, if you've watched those episodes with me, you will know I am rather fond of those two. And so very exciting to see those two still up the top for me, because I might change my mind as things go on, of course. There have been episodes that have dropped a little for me. There have been episodes that have risen. So it's very interesting. And just so we can keep up to date, the only episodes with a 10 out of 10, which means absolutely heaven, perfection, my favorite obsessions, are Death in Chains, Callisto, The Quest, and A Necessary Evil. So I reckon we might, by the end of the series, have a top 10 of 10s. So that's very exciting. Having said all of this, if there's a top 3, there must be a bottom 3. So I went through the scores to have a look and see which 3 episodes, were not my favorite this season. So there is a 4-way tie for last place. And to be honest, none of these episodes are bad. They were all sitting at a 7. So that's still a pretty good score. It's just that, unlike, I think in season 1, there were quite a few lower scores, but this season actually weren't too many low scores. So coming in third for my least favorite, but they're not bad, A Comedy of Errors, Solstice Carol, The Xena Scrolls, and Ulysses. All of them decent episodes. They've all got their problems, but generally speaking, certainly not bad. Coming in at number 2 as my second least favorite episode of the season is For Him the Bell Tolls. Again, not a terrible episode. I enjoy Ted. It just, it's not one that I go, ooh, I can't wait for that episode, which is a shame because I love me some Aphrodite, but thankfully we get a lot of Aphrodite in the seasons to come, and we get to fall in love with her every single time. And that brings us to the number 1 on the list of my least favorite episodes. It's weird to be like, it's number 1 of the least favorite, is Giant Killer, sitting at a 6. So For Him the Bell Tolls was 6.5 if I didn't mention that. Giant Killer for me, it's a bit of a skip. But when I looked at the overall bottom 3, including my scores from season 1, Giant Killer actually drops to 3. So it is so far my third least favorite episode of the series. Coming at number 2 with a 5 is Death Mask. Unsurprising that would be on the least favorite list, I think probably of a lot of people. And my most least favorite, it's a weird sentence, is coming at number 1 with a score of 4.5 is Ties That Bind. It's funny, there were some interesting things about that episode for sure, but I think it just made me mad. I don't want evil Xena with fake dad, and Ares tormenting. I want, sexy Ares and no tormenting. So that's interesting to see this, because there may have been some that I would have thought were on, the tops or the bottoms that, didn't make it. And yet a couple like Death Mask that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But since we've been in that little, not negative space, but maybe less positive space, let's push to something more positive with our top 3 crushes. This, I will say, was very hard to figure out. So these are my top 3 crushes for season 2. There are 5 because I couldn't help myself. I couldn't pick third place. So I'm just, it's a 3-way tie. And you know what they say, a 3-way with your favorite crushes is never a bad thing. Did they say that? They do now. So coming in at number 3, we have Garrel, who was played by Tamati Petaway, or Tamati Rice, as he was known at the time. Just because, he was a little unsettled in the price, but but very handsome, and he came around by the end. And so tied with him, though, even though I myself am a gay man, I still recognize, the beauty of a woman. And so I am very much crushing on Solari from The Quest and Velasca for being camp. Melinda Clarke is stunning, and I couldn't not put them on the crush list. So that is tied for the third place, those three people, Garrel, Velasca, and Solari. Coming in at number 2, and I think he's a very popular choice, and he may push to number 1 sometimes as well. We've still got some seasons to come, and I think his hair does get better as time goes on. But coming in at number 2 is Kevin Smith. How could you not have a crush on Kevin Smith, I ask you? He's one of those men who even the most heterosexual of men would look at him and go, that's a good-looking man. So we love Kevin Smith. And coming in at number 1, we have a new entry. I don't believe this person made... I probably had a crush on them a little bit, but I think they went up in the list because on this season they played new characters, and not just one but 2. And that is Carl Urban. Because, those arms, those cheekbones, how can one resist? Even with his silly yellow hair in A Comedy of Eros, there was something about, I think, the sheer amount of flesh that we got to see. And we got to see him in a little dress as Caesar. So I like a man who feels, confident in himself to wear skirts, dresses, wings, whatever you need. And, he's Carl Urban. How can you argue? So that is my top 3/top 5 crushes for season 2. But I will say I've done the same thing, and I've created an overall crush list. It is only 3. So it's going to be interesting as time goes on. And things have changed around a little bit, because coming in at number 3 is Carl Urban. So he's on there. Coming in at number 2 is Kevin Smith. Now, I know that I just put them the other way around on the season 2 crushes, but I have to take into account they were both in season 1. And I think I was crushing harder on Kevin in season 1. So balancing it out, Kevin's just sort of nudged Carl out. But look, I'll crush on both of them. It's okay. It's all crushes. And staying at number 1 from season 1 is Spherus, who was the son of the warlord in episode 2. It's the eyes. It's the blue eyes. How can I resist? And he was so sweet, and he wanted to do good. So, my sweet man with his blue eyes and little plaits, very, very cute. And honestly, if any of these 3 men expressed interest, I would be quite thrilled. And this brings me to the last little list that we've got going, because, this is all the housekeeping I do at the end of every episode. We have Joxa, help or hinder. I had to go, back through the list to see where he helped, where he hindered. And I thought he was in a lot more episodes than he was. I think it seems to be he was in 7. I could be wrong. I might have missed one somewhere. But still, the score is quite a clear indicator that there were 2 hinders. There were 2 episodes where I felt Jox's actions were hindering the plot, or the girls more specifically, Zeta or Gabby and their mission. But there were 5 episodes where he seemed to help. He might have still been a bit of a doofus, but maybe he helped by being a doofus. Sometimes, he'd be a doofus and distract the bad guy. So overall, for this season at least, Jox has been a little bit helpful. So well done, Joxa. And we'll see how things, either improve or digress in the future. This leads me to my overall thoughts for the season. And I wrote it down because I always like to write down so I can be succinct if possible. I said it's hard to compare because I feel like where season 2 lifts in production value and some really strong episodes, this season does feel a little bit more disjointed, mostly due to Lucy's accident and having to have rewrites and so on. They do, however, do a good job of covering for her. So if you didn't know about it, you may not notice it so much, but because I'm aware of it, there are a few times that I thought, that episode seems to maybe belong somewhere else, and I'm aware of certain episodes being written around Lucy's accident and things like that. But they still did a pretty decent job. we definitely start to see the telling of some larger stories, particularly in the first bit of the season with the Callisto arc, from Return of Callisto into Intimate Stranger, 10 Little Warlords, and even through to Destiny, which of course leads to the quest and to A Necessary Evil. And why I say Destiny is because that scene has gone to Syrah. That's why I sort of consider it the next part of that story. So I do like that we're getting a bit more of her past and some following on from different episodes. At the same time, sometimes because of that, and because of that quality, when you get a one-off episode that's completely different, it does feel a little bit jarring at times. I do think that overall there's a general rise in the quality of the show, and there are no super lows. Even my least favorite was a 6. So that's still pretty good. However, I think the episodes in season 1 that were maybe, not the bad or the high ones, they were hovering around maybe an 8. Like your average episode in season 1 seemed for me to be around an 8. Whereas I think the average episode in this season was maybe more of a 7.5. So I think that the highs are much higher in season 2 and the lows aren't as low as season 1, but maybe season 1 was just a smidge more consistent. But either way, I feel like they're pretty even. I feel like season 2 has a little more freshness to it, whereas season 1 has a bit more nostalgia. So if I'm, having a sick day on the couch, I might watch a season 1 episode. But if I'm maybe introducing someone to the show, maybe then I'll watch a season 2 episode. That kind of thing. Either way, it all kind of comes out in the wash because we love it. It's our show. That's why we're here. So that does bring me to the end of this little episode. But I did notice a little review, which I don't think I've read out, because most of the time the reviews, because I'm in Australia, the reviews don't always come through for me on the US podcast, Apple Podcasts and so on. So I do have to kind of go in and type it in individually to find them. But I did find a review from Casola Mags, who I believe we have spoken on Instagram, which is always nice to hear your thoughts. And anyone else who wants to show up and give a little insight or their thoughts on an episode, feel free to do that at Xena Warrior Commentary on Instagram. While I pull up this review. So Casola Mag says, so much fun. This Xena podcast is great. I like how it's different with commentary that takes place while you watch the show versus your typical rewatch podcast. I also enjoy those rewatch podcasts. I just appreciate that this podcast is a bit different and unique. And I have never followed a podcast that has done that before. Phil is hilarious. Thank you. And I love the commentary and humor and the cringe reaction to every time the word hope is mentioned in dialogue. Laugh out loud. Look, it's so funny, the things that people pick up on. Every time they say hope, I have a small breakdown. And I think that it is, probably very true of many, many Xena fans. We hear certain words and we go, and hope is definitely one of them, especially when it's uttered by Gabrielle. And she's like, I have hope. No, stop. And I'm also glad, that people are enjoying the unique angle of actually being a rewatch podcast, but that you actually watch along with me. That was sort of the difference I wanted to have. I knew that it maybe wouldn't appeal to quite as many people, but I thought, that's okay. I'm going to watch it anyway. I might as well have fun, make my little comments that I make anyway, and see if anyone else, wants to spend 45 minutes with me once a week and maybe learn a little something. If not, it might just be like having a mate from the other side of the world. That's okay too. And as I said, I think when we started, there are so many great Xena podcasts already that really analyze and really go into detail. And I thought, I don't need to, people have already done a good job of that. I don't need to do that. Let's just watch the show. Let's just watch it together. That was my thinking. And I can't actually believe we're at season 2, the end of season 2. So thank you so much to everyone who's been listening. I think there are new people joining. I see little spikes in the episodes where someone's discovered it. And that's always exciting. I hear from some of you. I don't hear from some. And that's okay too. I hope that wherever you are watching this, it gives you a little smile, or maybe I annoy you sometimes, and that's okay too. But But I'm looking forward to continuing on with season 3, which will happen very soon. I'm going to have a little bit of a break. I always like to have a break between the seasons. And if you miss me, come and check out Glitter Plus, the other podcasts I do on... it's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's everywhere. Basically, wherever you're listening to this, you should be able to find Glitter Plus on there. And please, if you are enjoying this, give us a little rating or a review. I'll read it out when I get to see it. And give me a follow, Xena Warrior Commentary on Instagram. I think I'm on Facebook too. I forget. It's really hard juggling podcasts. I'm like, wait, where am I? Who am I? As well as, regular life and music. And also please check out Possible Prince X on Spotify and all of the places you listen to your music. You can go to possibleprincex.com if you're someone who likes to buy the record or buy the CD, and I'll sign it. And, I'll even, if you want me to write something Xena related on it, I'll do that too. But yes, thanks once again for joining me, and I'm looking forward to season 3. I will let you know when that will be starting up as soon as I have a date. And until then, battle on.